Hello everyone. So today we will start off with this curriculum of freeCodeCamp, that is responsive web design, and we'll be entering into its first uh, list of courses. So we'll be actually doing Learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So basically, what happens in freeCodeCamp that they offer some courses inside the curriculum that you have to follow. So like you can see that there is these things that you have to build, and there is a project which will be done by you only, and then there is also this is actually focusing on um, CSS more, and then you have to also make a project, and as you move further there are few more courses that you need to do, and after that once you have completed all these courses and content in this curriculum, then you have to just simply uh, go to settings and claim your certificate. So you can actually claim your certificate after actually putting a lot of hours into this course or curriculum. So we'll be starting from the very beginning, that is learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So let's get started. We'll actually start off from the first step. So this is what we will be building. As you know, this is cat photo app. So here are some images which are being used and given by freeCodeCamp to us, and you can see that this is unordered listings, and this is ordered list, and some pictures are there, labels, radio buttons, multi-check functionality, and this is label, this is a submit button, and there is a no copyright thing. So let's start coding. So these kind of steps will be given to you. So basically you will be having a file here. This is a index.html file here, and this is showing that what you are doing right now and in what curriculum. So here, as we are doing responsive web design, so it's written here, and this is in which module we are right now. This is learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So this is our console, by the way, and you can actually preview anything. Like if you want to preview it in a big sense, like this is what right now is your created, so you can actually preview that. So this is nothing but simply you can actually do it from here. So I think you must be now knowing some kind of HTML. So let's get started. So right now you just have to read this step and try to do things. So right now we just have to write cat photo app here, press Control and enter. So you can see that this is green now, so this signal that our code is actually correct, our line of code is actually correct. So again press Control plus enter, you will be getting into the second step. So here it is telling about what are headings and what are their conventions, what it is actually. So as you know that we just are going to do one thing, that you have to write h2 element below h1. So without wasting a time, so let's get started in a very fast way. Control enter, moving ahead. So they ask for donations after 5 or 10 steps. You can donate later, or you can, if you're willing to donate, then you can actually donate. So there's a paragraph which we have to create. So remember that you can also jump into non-active area. So just make a paragraph, and copy this from here as well, copy it and paste it. Control enter, Control enter, moving to next step, step 4. So what is it actually? So they're telling us about what is commenting in HTML. So let's make comment. Okay, add a comment above p element in this text, with this text. So with comments, this is the comment tag. So right, just put this text here, control enter, move to step 5. So it is telling about some kind of SEO thing, which is actually, you can read it by the way. I'm just doing it for this reference. So let's put a main tag. You can copy it also, paste it, control enter. Let's move forward. So step 6, in the previous step you put the h1 and h2 comment and p elements inside main element. This is called nesting. Nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further into to the right of the element they are nested in. This spacing is called indentation, and it is used to make HTML easier to read. So as you know that we are not having indentation with paragraph, so we'll do it, and let's move forward. Okay, now we have to add an image, so it's easy now to add an image here. Just create an image tag in here. Remember, image tag is actually a self-closing tag, so you don't have to make a closing tag of image separately. So you just have to make a single image tag and close it with this slash. Okay, so we just have to make a tag first here. So let's go. So we just made a tag. Now it's telling us to put this thing into place. So what we have to put here, so this is actually our source, so we just have to write src, make it a string and put it here. You can see that now we are getting images from freeCodeCamp. So let's move forward. Okay, so now we are on the 9th step. Now there is very important thing in image tag, that you also have to mention an alternate attribute here, which actually helps while your image is loading or your image takes some time to load. So that text will be written or like shown there in place of the image. So just put the thing inside the alt tag and move forward. Now here comes the anchor tag. So you must have worked with it if you are having a little bit experience in HTML. So what you have to do here, you can link. Okay, now there is a thing here. Okay, you can link another page with anchor tag a element. For example, href. This would link to this. Okay, so basically what they are trying to tell us that you can actually do what, like they have written, add an anchor tag after the paragraph that links to freeCodeCamp. So we have to make a paragraph, so we make an anchor tag. So let's make an anchor tag. So it's not self-closing away, so to make it completely, write it completely. So put href here, href. Okay, so you can just put it here actually, href, make it a string and put this thing inside the href. Okay, so once you put it, now there's the mistake. So what is the mistake? Yeah, so I made a mistake here. Let's jump ahead. So yeah, it's correct. Now let's move ahead. Now there is something that we have to put inside the anchor tag as well, which will be inside in here, so we have to put link to the cat pictures. So just put it and let's move ahead. So now you can see that there is a little bit uh, messy things here going on, and we're having a link just next to the image, which we'll be actually figuring out how to solve this issue in the end. But right now we'll be not using any kind of uh, you know CSS in this project, in this module rather. So we'll be only using HTML. Now what they are telling us, actually they are telling us to make this anchor tag inside a paragraph, so that it does not look like this, or it actually covers up this paragraph, or it actually comes inside this paragraph. So what you have to do is actually put this cat photos and make it a anchor tag. So what you do basically is you actually put anchor tags in here, at the beginning and the end of the cat photo text, and inside the href you just have to copy this and put it inside it. So it was copied and put it. Now you can see that we have made something. I have to remove this. Yeah, so we remove this, control enter. Now there is some mistake in here. Yeah, so there is no double quotation. So yeah, now it's correct. It's looking good. Now let's move forward. You can see that now we can click on this cat photo, and this will actually be okay. So there is something, we're fixing it, but let me tell you one thing. When I click on it, it will actually bring me to the next site, so that this will happen. Okay, so keep in mind. Now what it is saying, now that you turned the text cat photos inside a p element into a link, you don't need second, so you don't need this thing in here. So remove this. We actually removed it earlier as well, but it is actually showing it again, so let's do not worry about it. Let's do it again. Now there is something called target. In every anchor tag there is a attribute which actually specifies the target of the link, the target of the anchor. So wherever I write target equal to blank, it actually makes my click to go into the next tab. It does not opens up the tab, it does not change the tab that you're working on. It actually moves that tab into, it actually creates a new tab for that site. Okay, basically that's what blank target do. So when I click on it, okay, it's not happening right now, but okay, but you know that what I'm trying to say. Let's move ahead. Okay, so in previous steps you used an anchor tag element to turn text into a link. Other types of content can also be turned into a link by wrapping it inside anchor tags. Okay, so I think this is something I have worked upon. Yeah, I think I made it. So yeah, you just have to do this, by the way. You just have to wrap it. Like when I click, you can see that when I hover on this image, the pointer or finger is created. So it means that you're using a link. Okay, you're using an anchor tag. It always means, because when I hover on this gallery and in our thing, so it does not makes it a pointer, but when I go to cat photos, it makes it a pointer. So to wrap it inside a tag, and this will work out. Let's move to the next step. So what is our next step, by the way? So our next step is actually to make sections. Okay, so before adding any new content, you should make use of section element to separate the cat photo content from the future content at a section. So what it is saying, by the way, that uh, you have to put it inside a section. So let's make a good indentation and make it a section, and copy this, come down, and just below this anchor tag we have to put our thing here, that is section. So yeah, so control enter, and it happens. Let's move to the next step, step 17. It is time to add new section, add a section element below the existing section element. So you just have to put a section element only and not much. Section, okay, control Z, sorry, control enter, yeah. Now within the second section element, add new. Okay, so you just have to add a heading. Let's make a heading. Cat list. Put it here, paste it, and yeah, so you can see that we have so far made something like this. So cat photo app, cat photo, which is also h2, this is h1, h2, a paragraph having anchor tag inside it, picture also having image is also wrapped inside anchor tag, a list which is also h2 with a heading which is h2. So that's it so far. Now let's move to the next thing, like next step. So you actually have to make another section element. So after the h2 element of the second section, add this thing. Okay, so just have to add h3 and h3 in here as well. Just paste this text from there inside this and control enter. So now moving to next step. After the h3 element with the things cat loves text, add an unordered list ul. So you know that how to add unordered list, so you just have to write ul, which means unordered list. And let's move to next step. Use list item li elements to create items in a list. Here is an example of list elements in unordered list. So there is an example, you can actually do it. So we just have to make some list items. So just to do things faster, we just have to copy it and just paste it below this link tag. So list tag, list item. This is a catnip. Copy it, paste it. Laser pointers. Copy it, paste it. Lasanga. Copy it, paste it. So control Z, sorry, control enter. Let's move ahead. Now step 22. After the unordered list, add new image with src attribute set to this thing. So yeah, let's add an image tag, and you know that image is actually a self-closing tag. So src equal to, copy this link and paste it. Okay, now you can see that this image is being shown here. This is a lasanga. Alt equal to, what is the alt? A slice of lasagna on a plate. Copy it, go down, come inside the alternate tag, alternate attribute by the way, not a tag. Yeah, so submit it. Let's move. Step 23. The figure element represents self-contained content and will allow you to associate an image with a caption. Nest the image you just added with a figure element. So what you have to do here is actually create a tag called figure, and so just make a figure here. Just have to make a tag first. Let's move to next step. Yeah, so we have to add a fig caption in here. A fig caption is actually a caption inside a figure. So figure means a picture by the way, so that is it, picture or an illustration, it can be anything. So let's add a figure caption, fig caption. Paste it. Let's move forward. Yeah, so you can see that this is the fig caption, figure caption. Now there is a thing called em, which means emphasis. So if I want to emphasize the word love, I have to just put it or wrap it inside em tag. So I'll just wrap it. Okay, you can see that this is actually the love, which is actually written only in italic. So let's move ahead. So now after figure element, add another h3 element with the text. Okay, after the figure we have to make h3. Copy this, paste it in here. So now comes the ordered list. So I think I've done this step earlier as well, so it is showing me whatever I have done. So you just have to make OL, which is ordered list, and just make list items and actually put it inside this, so it will work. Okay, so you can see it that it is actually having these things. So you can see this is unordered list, this is ordered list. So now let's move to the next step, 28th. After ordered list, add another figure element. So to add another figure element, so let's add it, figure. So just adding it, completing it, just moving ahead. Step 29. Now inside the figure element, you just added nest an image element with source attribute this. So again, let's make an image element src equal, copy it, paste it in here, moving ahead. So there will be one more image by freeCodeCamp, which is this little kittens. So yeah, one more thing, add an alt tag in here, which is 5 cats looking around a field. Paste it, move ahead. We are into step 31. So after the last image element, add fig caption element with the text cat hates other cats. Put it cat hates other cats. And once you click save, control S, when you click on control S, it actually saves your stuff into your local storage of the browser. Control. So there is some mistake. Let's check it out what it is. It is actually figure. What's the mistake? Fake caption element should have closing tag. Okay. Yeah, it's not a caption. It's fake caching. Let's move ahead. So step 32. So you can actually wrap it inside a tag called strong. So control enter. So I think there is something I have. These tiny mistakes actually can hamper your speed. Yeah, moving to next step, that is step 33. Okay, we have to make another section here. Let's add it. Yeah, so let's move forward. Inside the third section, add h2. Cat form. Can preview it. So far we have done this much. Okay, so we are actually moving towards section number 3, that is cat form. So let's do it. So we have to add a form element in here. Form. Step 36, the section. The action attribute indicates where form data should be sent. For example, form action equal to submit URL. Close form tells the browser that form data should be sent to this path. So similarly, we have to also make this action attribute, which is these things. So copy it and paste it in here. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so I think I've done some mistake. What it is? Form action attribute. I think I have done what they have said. So it worked right now. It worked. Let's hop into the next step, that is the input and elements allow you several ways to collect data from web form. Like MSM elements, input elements are self-closing and do not need closing tags. Nest an input element in the form. So now let's take some input. Remember that it's a self-closing tag, so don't do much. Now you have to specify the type that you want your input to be. So we want it to be text, so we just put text in here. Let's move forward. Let's check what's our input. So this is something which we have just created. Now add name attribute to with the value this. So what we are doing right now, we are actually giving this input a name. Okay, the name is actually equal to cat photo URL. Copy it, paste it, and let's move forward. So we have actually made this much. Now step 40. Now you have to do what? You have to make a placeholder. So you know what's a placeholder? That this is the input, and but you can see that when I write something, then only something will be shown. But to give a hint to people to what to write inside this input, we can actually put a placeholder in our HTML to make it easier for people to know what to write in here. So we have this thing to be cat photo URL. So we'll put it inside this placeholder, paste it. So you can see that this is written right now. Now this has been shown in here as inside the input. Just write required in here, nothing much. Let's move to the button now. We will create a button here which says BT, and this is creating a button. It's quite easy. Now we'll make it a submit button, so actually write submit. Now what they are saying, okay, so add a button element with the text submit below the input element. The default behavior of the clicking form button without any attribute submits the form to the location specified in the form's action attribute. Yeah, so you got what I'm trying to say, that once you click on the submit button, you will be actually, all your data will be sent to the URL that you just have mentioned in the in this form action. So this is where all will be gone. Okay, all your data will be sent. Let's move to next step. Okay, so now even though you added your button below the input, they appear next to each other on the page because both input and button are an inline element, so which do not appear on new lines. But the button you added will submit the form by default. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. Add type attribute to submit. So you have to also write a type to the submit button. So we're actually telling this button to be of submit type. Okay, let's move ahead. Step 44. So now we'll be working with radio buttons, and yeah, so let's get started. Before the input, we have to write something in here. So you can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of the multiple options. Here is an example of radio button with option. So cat input and this thing. Remember, input elements are self-closing. Before input, text input, add radio button with option set as input. Okay, so I just have to write this thing, copy, paste. Now when I actually put, this is at radio actually, and I put here indoor. So you can see this is the radio button, but it is actually in line with the input of text, so we will have to do something with it. We'll actually do it. Now there is very important thing which is called label. So you actually want it to be, you actually want this input, these kind of inputs to be inside a certain label. So let's wrap it inside a label. So label, and this is not self-closing, so we have to close it also. Now we will be giving ID to the input which we are writing here. So let's give ID of indoor to be indoor. Okay. Create another radio button below the first one, next it inside label. So just have to copy this and paste it in here. So we'll do some indentation. Yeah. So this is what we have done in initial phase of this module. So we'll write outdoor here and also here as well in the ID. ID, I think most of you know what is ID. ID is the thing which defines that this thing cannot be repeated, okay? Which means that it actually specifies one element or input, to be unique. This is something which is unique. So let's move forward. So there is some mistake, and what is it? Create another radio button below the first one, next it inside the label element without load as the label text. Okay, so you actually have to make another label here. You have to do it inside this. So kind of copying this and pasting it. So now actually putting outdoor here and also here outdoor. Yeah, it worked. Let's move to the next step. So we have done this much. Okay, step 48. Notice that both radio buttons are selected at the same time. So this is what is happening. When I select this is also getting selected, but I don't want this to be done, and it is also not getting unselected. So this thing can actually be handled by giving it a name. Both should have a similar name or the same name, that is indoor outdoor. So copy it and paste it in this name section, name attribute. Copy this name attribute and paste it in the other label as well. So I just saved it. I just have to press Ctrl and enter to check my code. Okay, so it is not getting pass. Does it pass? Not. Yeah, so it passes. Let's move to next step. So we are on step 49. Now we'll be giving ID and some values. Now this is something. If you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on the name and the value attribute. Since your radio buttons do not have the value attribute, the form data will include indoor outdoor on equal to on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. Add a value attribute to both the buttons for convenience. Set buttons value attribute to the same as ID. So what it is saying that when you actually submit the form, it actually gives the it actually creates the data where indoor and outdoor both are selected. They are both. So we just have to, like, we just have done something which was selecting one thing at a time. So yeah, it's happening now. But the thing is that here we are not getting which one is indoor and which one is outdoor, because we will be having a name that will be sent to the backend. So what we want is the thing that we will also give it a value, so that it actually sends it to the database. So we just have to give it the same value as of the ID. So yeah, so let's actually make it happen. Again, put indoor and outdoor inside the values. Yeah, so we have done this. Now let's move to next step. So what is the next step? So for our next step is actually the field set element is used to group related input and labels together in a web form. So there is something called field set. What is a field set? The field set actually makes or creates, or actually it actually curates some of the inputs inside it and creates a field to have some boundaries, so that we can actually have those inputs inside that boundary, or we can actually group those inputs inside web form. So let's make a field set. So yeah, so we just have nested it inside it. So let's move to step 51. Step 51. So there is something called legend, which acts as a caption. You remember this, that we have done something called figure and figure caption. So this figure and figure caption. Similar to this, there is something called field set and legend. So let's put a legend in here and close it as well. We'll put it inside this as our legend. So yeah, it worked. Now let's check how it looks. It looks something like this. As I told you, that it will be actually creating a separate field, to show that okay, these two things are actually inside this, and this is actually the legend. Okay, now let's move to the next thing that we have to do. We have to create another field set. So let's create another field set. So we actually have to make another legend in here, just to make things very clear what we are actually taking from the user. So what's your cat's personality? We'll just put it inside this legend, and yeah. So legends, okay, we've done this. Now let's make something called checkbox. Okay, so we'll make an input which is actually a self-closing tag, so don't have to put much thing in there. Let's make its type very clear to the console that we want it to be a checkbox. So just writing a checkbox in here, and what next? Okay, so we'll be actually putting here loving. as the thing to be inside the checkbox. So let's see what happens. Yeah, so it passes. So this is what where we were. Step 55. Let's check if it is showing. Yeah, it's showing as a checkbox. Legend, field set. Let's check if it is working. It's not. Okay, so we actually have to give it a attribute ID. Okay, so let's give some ID. Loving. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. Now, so here there is another way to associate input elements text with element itself. You can nest the text within a label element and add a for attribute for with same value of input for the ID attribute. So basically what it is saying that you can actually create something called a label and you can use an attribute for, and you can actually connect those two things, just some kind of indentation will be required in here. So yeah, we're good to go now. So that's it. Let's check. Yeah, it works. Yeah, into the step 57. Now we'll add something called personality as another input. So what is personality, by the way? So add a name attribute with the value personality to the checkbox input element. Okay, so we'll actually put the name of this input equal to personality. Okay, so while you don't notice this in the browser, doing this makes it easier for a server to process your web form, and especially when there are multiple checkboxes. So yeah, this will help us. Let's move to the next thing. So it is asking for donation, so you can ask me later, and if you're willing to do donation, then you can go for it. Now we have to make another input and labels. Okay, so let's do it now. Add another checkbox. After one you just added ID attribution. So let's make it happen again. Copy and paste it. Some indentation. Okay, so this is actually going to be for laziness. So lazy comes in here, and this is going to be lazy also, and the ID will also be lazy, and the checkbox type personality is the name. So let's go. Yeah, so one more thing I want to tell you, that right now we are having the same name. The name is actually similar in this and this as well. Why? Because we want it to be a multi-checking thing. We want it to be a multi-checkbox. So multiple checkboxes can be selected at the same time. So we want this to happen. So we have added this name inside this input as well and inside this input as well. Let's move to the next thing. Okay, so we have not done what they have tried to tell us. Yeah, so we have to make another input here, copy it and paste it. So let's see what it is. It is energetic. Copy it, paste it, and similar thing we'll do here. Just make the E smaller in size or in capitalization. Make this E smaller. Yeah, so we are done with this as well. Now there are few things that we have to consider. So So before this, let's see what we have done so far. So we have done this much thing. Now what it is saying in the thing here, like radio buttons, form data for selected checkboxes are name or value attribute pair. While the value attribute is optional, it's best practice to include it with any checkboxes or radio buttons on the pages. So wherever you are having the value, so it's important to actually have it, and let's make it equal to the ID that we have been using. So we have here used a value also here, but not here. So we will be including value tag here. So to add multiple value tags in these inputs, so what you have to do is you just have to press Alt and hold it and click your cursor, or click the cursor on the point wherever you want your cursor to be working at the same time. So let's make value in here as an attribute and give it the same ID as that of, give it the same name, sorry, the same string as that of the ID. So we'll put it in here loving, and here lazy, it's not lazy, and it's simply single Z, and it's energetic. So that's it. Let's move forward. Okay, I think we have done some mistake. Let's see what it is. All three checkboxes should have value attribute. By the way, if you ever got stuck in freeCodeCamp, you can always go for help. There is a forum, in which you can actually ask your doubts, but do not ask repeated doubts. Ask a unique doubt, and then it will be solved, in few hours or days by the freeCodeCamp team. So the mistake that I have done here is that I have put these value inside the label. Just have to put it inside the input. So just putting it inside the input, not the label. Again, same thing. Yeah, so it worked now. So let's jump to step 61. In order to make checkbox checked or radio button selected by default, make the first radio button and the first checkbox selected by default. So we have to make the first checkbox and first radio box to be selected. So let's go make it checked. Okay, so this is it. Check, and there is something called loving. Let's make it check. So yeah, we have done this. So let's go into the next thing. So we have now come to the footer section. So after the main section, we'll actually make a footer section. So inside the footer section, we'll be adding some kind of no copyright things and all those rights things that comes at the end of the page. So all we have to do is just put this as a paragraph, and so we just have to write this thing in here. Okay, so that's it. So we have done it. Now we just have to wrap this freecodecamp.org into an A tag. So writing it href, make it a string, paste it, and close the anchor tag. Yeah, so we are done with it. So now you can see what we have just created is this thing, Now there is something called uh, you know so in 65 step what we could do, notice that everything you have added to the page is so far inside the body. All the page content element that should be rendered to the page go inside the body. Okay, so however the other important information goes inside the head. Add a head element above the body element, so we just have to make a head element. So we'll be making a head element. So let's see what to do next. Okay, so we just have to write a title. So title is also a tag, don't forget it right now. So title, and our title is cat photo app, so just putting it inside it and just, yeah, so we are good to go now. Okay, now this is step 67. Yeah, so we have to mention the language that we are using inside the HTML doc. So we are using the language here as English, so we'll actually put it equal to English. So that's it. Let's move to the next thing, that is this thing, that is doc type. We have to mention what is our document type. So our doc type is actually an HTML. So that's it. Now there is something called, so you can set browser behavior by adding self-closing meta tags in the head. For example, meta tag attribute equal to value. So we'll write meta only. This is a self-closing tag, so don't push much thing into it. So we are actually having a character set, so we'll write char set will be equal to UTF -8. That's it. So yeah, so we're done with it. So we've created this HTML building a cat photo app. Learn HTML building a cat photo app. So you can actually see it, that what we have created. So once we preview it, you can preview it. So this is what we have created. So that's it. I hope you like the video and it helped you, in some of the steps. Let's catch up in the next video.